Psychology of people who don't share their lives on social media. It started with a sentence that wasn't even said loudly. I don't think he was really there. No one reacted when it was said. The music was still playing softly in the background. Glasses were still clinking, and conversations were still weaving in and out across the table. But something about that sentence stayed. Not because of how it sounded, but because of how true it felt. It was a birthday dinner. Nothing extravagant. Just 12 people, a reserved table at a restaurant, warm lighting. The kind that makes everything feel a little softer than it really is. The kind of night that doesn't need to be special to become meaningful. The kind of night people remember not because of what happened, but because of how it felt. And yet, for one person at that table, it wasn't really happening at all. He had more than 8,000 followers. Not famous, not an influencer in the traditional sense, but enough of an audience to feel watched. Enough to feel like every moment had potential. Before the dinner even started, he had already turned it into something else. A countdown on his story. A preview. A hint that something was coming. By the time he arrived, the night wasn't an experience anymore. It was content waiting to be captured. And when the food came out, he didn't just see food. He saw angles, lighting, framing. He lifted his phone before he lifted his fork. Adjusted the plate slightly. Tilted his wrist just enough to catch the glow of the candle. Took one shot. Then another. Then checked it. Not for himself, but for the invisible audience that wasn't even there. Every few minutes, he glanced down again. Not because someone texted him, but because he needed to know who had seen what he'd already posted. Who reacted? Who didn't? Whether it was landing the way he wanted it to. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, he disappeared from the table, not physically. He was still sitting there. Still nodding, still occasionally smiling at the right moments. But a part of him was elsewhere, split between the present moment and the version of it he was constructing for others to consume, at the same table. Just a few seats away, there was someone else. No phone. Not on the table. Not in his hand. Not even face down like most people do to pretend they're not going to check it. He was just there fully when someone spoke. He listened like it mattered. When someone laughed, he didn't just react, he joined in. When someone mentioned something small, something most people would forget in minutes, he remembered it. Not because he was trying to impress anyone, but because he was paying attention in a way that doesn't require effort when you're actually present. There was a moment, somewhere in the middle of the night, where two conversations overlapped. One person talking about work, another about something that had happened months ago. And he turned slightly, connected the dots, and asked a question that made both of them pause. How did that situation end up working out? It was such a simple question. But it carried something most people don't notice anymore. Memory, not the kind stored in photos or posts. The kind stored in attention, and you could see it in their faces. That small shift when someone realizes they were heard, not just in the moment, but long after it passed. Meanwhile, the other guest was still documenting, still curating, still turning a living moment into something that could be replayed later by people who weren't even there. And by the end of the night, something subtle but undeniable had happened. 12 people had shared a table, but they had not shared the same experience. The next morning, a message was sent, not to the person with 8,000 followers, but to the one who posted nothing. Thank you for coming. It meant a lot. And that's where something deeper begins to reveal itself. Because this isn't really about social media. Not in the way people usually talk about it. It's not about whether it's good or bad, healthy or toxic. It's about what it quietly does to the way we experience our own lives, and, more importantly, why some people feel that shift more than others. There's a story people like to tell about those who don't share their lives online. That they're more evolved, more self-aware, above the need for validation. It's a neat explanation. Clean, comfortable, but it's not always true. Sometimes. The reason is much less polished sometimes. Something happened, a relationship ended, and suddenly the contrast between real pain and everyone else's curated happiness became too sharp to ignore. Or someone shared something honest, something vulnerable, and it didn't land the way they thought it would. It got overlooked, or worse, misunderstood. And that moment, it doesn't just pass, it leaves something behind. A quiet recalibration in the mind, a subtle decision that doesn't always feel like a decision at all. I don't want to do that again. And so they stop. Not dramatically, not with an announcement, just quietly, and from the outside, it looks like withdrawal. But from the inside, it often feels like protection, because the brain is wired to remember where vulnerability wasn't safe. Not in a loud, obvious way, but in small, almost invisible adjustments to behavior. It learns, it adapts. It redirects. So, for many people, stepping away from sharing isn't about rejecting the world, it's about choosing a different way to exist in it. Done, and then something unexpected happens. A few weeks go by, maybe a little longer, and there's a feeling that's hard to describe at first. Not excitement, not relief in the dramatic sense, just quiet. A kind of quiet that feels unfamiliar if you haven't experienced it in a long time. Like there was always something running in the background. A constant hum of awareness, of checking, of wondering how things look from the outside. And suddenly, it's gone. Not completely, but enough that you notice its absence. And in that absence, something else becomes clearer. Moments feel heavier, in a good way. Conversations linger a little longer. Experiences don't feel like they need to be validated to count. There's no mental step where you pull back and ask, is this worth sharing? You just live it. There's research that explains part of this. The simple act of anticipating that you'll share an experience changes how you engage with it. Your attention splits. One part of you is inside the moment. The other part is observing it from the outside, preparing it, shaping it. Almost like you're already turning it into a memory before it's even finished happening. And when attention splits, depth suffers. Memories don't anchor as strongly. Emotions don't settle as deeply. Because you were never fully there to begin with. And some people, whether consciously or not, feel that trade-off more intensely. They sense that something is being lost, and eventually, they stop making that trade. But the world doesn't always understand that choice. In a culture where visibility is normal, privacy starts to look suspicious. If you don't post, people ask why. If you stay quiet, people assume something's wrong. There's this unspoken idea that if your life isn't being shown, it must be lacking in some way. But that assumption says more about the system than the person. Because not sharing isn't the same as hiding. It's choosing where your life exists. Externally or internally, there's a psychological concept that helps explain this difference. Some people naturally orient their attention inward. Not in a detached or isolated way, but in a reflective one. They're more tuned into what they feel than how they appear. More interested in what something means to them than how it will be perceived by others. And that changes how they move through the world. They don't need every moment to be seen. They need it to be real. Over time, that builds something that's becoming increasingly rare. A sense of self that doesn't depend on constant feedback. A stability that isn't shaken by silence. Because for many people, silence online feels like absence. But for others, it feels like space. And yes, there's a cost to that. When you stop sharing, you become harder to track. People who are used to staying connected through passive interaction no longer have that easy access point. They don't see your updates. They don't get reminders of your existence in their daily scroll, and some of them drift. Not out of malice, not even out of choice, just out of inertia, because the connection required more effort than they realized. And when that effort isn't made, the relationship fades. That part is real, and it can hurt. But what replaces it is something different. The people who remain don't rely on updates. They reach out, they ask, they show up, and those relationships tend to carry a different kind of weight, not broader, but deeper, because they're built on intention, not convenience. And if you look closely, you'll start to notice a pattern. The people who remember things about you are usually the ones who weren't busy documenting you. They were paying attention, and that's the quiet shift. Happening beneath all of this, a move away from performance and back toward presence. Most people today don't just live their lives, they narrate them, edit them, frame them, and over time, it becomes automatic. You don't even realize you're doing it anymore. But there are still people who step outside that pattern, who let moments exist without translating them, who don't feel the need to prove that something happened for it to matter. And when you're around them, you can feel the difference. It's hard to explain, but it's unmistakable. There. Not partially there. There. Completely in it. No part of them is preparing a caption. No part of them is checking how it looks. They're just present, and people often mistake that for calmness or simplicity. But it's something deeper. It's ownership. The sense that your life belongs to you, not to an audience, not to an algorithm, not to a version of yourself that exists for others to consume, but to you fully. And for those who grew up in a time before all of this, that feeling isn't new. They remember what it was like when experiences didn't need documentation, when silence didn't raise questions, when being unreachable wasn't strange, and they often describe it the same way. Life felt more. There's not perfect, not better in every way, but more personal, more grounded, more real. And now, that way of living isn't the default anymore. It's something people have to consciously return to, something they have to choose again and again, because the pull to share is always there. The system is designed that way, but so is the alternative, quietly waiting for those who feel it. So if you've ever felt out of place for not wanting to share everything, if you've ever hesitated before posting and couldn't quite explain why, if you've ever walked away from it and felt like something inside you settled instead of broke, there's nothing wrong with you. You didn't miss the point. You saw it earlier than most, and maybe that's not something to question. Maybe it's something to trust.